Yeah. So that's kind of an interesting question to answer. I think a good way to start off is that there's no metrics to really track oracles. I think with a lot of like lending protocols, you can go by total value locked, but with oracles, it's not really like that. So you know, people don't tend to make the best decisions when they're interacting with oracles because they want to go with the ones that are securing the most value, but um, a lot of the tools that we use to track those metrics don't update often, or they're not tracking the right through the right sources, or a lot of these projects aren't updating that information, right, to say the least. But in addition to that, there's a lot of security issues and vulnerabilities. Um, we've heard a lot about oracles that have failed projects because they don't go to out to like the sixth decimal
Yeah.
place, which can cause a lot of security issues, and it can cause contracts to fail. So how do we mitigate that risk? Well, there's really no real solution out there right now. I think having a fallback oracle is a good way to do it, but also there's not one stop shop answer. And in addition to that, there's a nice balance between technology and economics, where the technology can't lose sight of the actual incentive of the network, right? So you can have like this great technologically sound network, but there's no reason to actually become a node operator on that. And then it's the kind of the vice versa, right? Um, if you're not interested in the tech, then why would you become a node operator? Basically, is what I'm trying to say. So, in addition to that, I think as far as Witnet is concerned, we're the only Oracle that's integrated on like 18 different chains. So we have the most chain integrations. But because of that, there's also issues with you don't have that fallback Oracle on some of the chains that we're integrated on, right? So as I think Cube, there's only going to be two oracles, which is good, but some of these other chains, there's only one. And so if one oracle fails, then the entire project could have an issue.
Yeah, I do think oracles are actually a very rare but important service in many different networks. It's very nice. All right. I'll proceed on with Mr. Tan for Tan Finance. So I understand Tan Finance provides a lot of DeFi services. There is one specific protocol, the LAN protocol on Cube. So maybe you can explain what do LAN protocol do for the users in the DeFi space?
Sure. So Lend is essentially a natural extension of the 10 finance ecosystem that we've built, and obviously we're launching natively on the Cube network. So Lend, just a little background, it essentially establishes pools of algorithmically derived interest rate models, which are based on the current supply and demand of each asset that's being supplied into the markets. Suppliers and borrowers of assets, obviously interact directly with the protocol in earning and paying a floating interest. And for price discovery, we use oracles, such as Withnet, which we will be partnering with to utilize their services.
Nice.
And this is all done without the need to negotiate, terms of maturity or a middleman. Like a centralized lending protocol, like a Celsius, for example, right? And a little background on that is Celsius went bankrupt, and the first creditors they paid were the DeFi protocols, the DeFi lending protocols, Aave and Compound. Which obviously is a testament to DeFi lending protocols having a place to stay and not being subjected to these middlemen and custody, whatever that occurred. So, this is all done. We're launching on Cube. For us, for the longest time in terms of DeFi. And it's been a learning process for everybody involved in the space over the last 2 years since DeFi Summer came about. Initially, everybody thought, hey, if the lending or if the protocol is profitable, then that will translate onto the token holders in terms of value and about token price increase. But we soon came to realize and come to this term or saying farm and dump, which I think everybody in DeFi is familiar with. And as a native token, provider for users to utilize the service, the holy grail for DeFi protocols is finding utility, providing true value extraction from protocol directly to the users. And one thing we've done well, I think, throughout 10 Finance, and now we're translating this onto Lend, is we've seen what our predecessors have done, the good and the bad, and we're basically improving on that model. We do have a long-term vision in terms of our roadmap and the sustainability of the ecosystem itself, even from emissions to not having some crazy super high APYs, which many saw over the last couple of years. Lend is one of the first lending protocols that is actually giving back protocol revenue directly back to the users and holders of the token. So for us, it's important to continue with, educating people on DeFi, because a lot of people, although they may be familiar with how crypto works through a centralized exchange, not many are too familiar with how DeFi works in terms of whether it's a yield optimizer or a lending protocol. So education, and obviously our goal is to create a simple, basic UI. And if you guys have heard me talk before, we always press on this, is the UI UX is the first thing to look at when you're looking at adoption from retail, because retail market adoption is the key. And the more people that are able to utilize these tools that are available to them, and for us as a protocol, we're giving back to the actual users. It's a big change. I do think maybe more and more protocols in DeFi will start utilizing a similar model to us in terms of revenue sharing and rewarding those users that are locking up their tokens and staking their tokens within the protocol. So that's pretty much where we're at. We're trying to create something where we're bringing value to our token holders, and it's Lend was essentially created out of necessity to benefit the token holders and the ecosystem, because at the end of the day, if we can reward the token holders that are supporting the network or the protocol, it's the best way forward, and to ensure longevity within the space.
Nice. Thank you for sharing, Tan, and thank you for sharing, Ben. I think you guys are bringing very important services and protocols into the space, which is very much needed. So yeah, very nice, very impressive. I'll move on with before we launched this AMA, there were questions from people that are interested with your protocols and Cube network. But first of all, the people from Cube would like to know what are your views on the future of DeFi, in the short term, 1 year from now, and the long term, maybe more than 5 years from now. So maybe we can start from Witsnet, Ben.
Yeah, I mean, dude, that's a really hard question to answer, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
I think, as Mr. Ten kind of said, I think my first initial thought is that we need to figure out how to not make crypto come off as a scam, right? To the average retail, right? So, when somebody sees, oh, you can get a 20% APY or APR or whatever, obviously that's not sustainable, and it can't go on. Whether it's from Celsius or from Terra Luna, that is some form of decentralized finance, and
yeah,
whether we want to argue that's a totally different topic. But having modest APY because people are actually paying off loans and getting a 4 or 5% return a year is pretty good. I mean, I don't think enough people. I think people in crypto think that that's not enough, but in reality, that's more than any of the average bank is going to give you. So I think in 5 years, we're going to start to see those types of rates kind of plateau, and then we're going to realize that it's not sustainable to be doing that anymore. Additionally, I think we're going to start working out all of these bridges. So whether it be like an optimistic bridge or something like that, we're going to start to see those work out, where now we can move funds from EVM chains or from non-EVM chains around, so that it's just, you're not even using any other form of financial technology aside from cryptocurrency networks. So I think that's where we'll be in 5 years, in my opinion. But that is like a really powerful thing, and it's something we've never seen before. So being able to genuinely make a decision or a prediction on that is really hard, obviously. But I think we'll figure out the bridge vulnerabilities. That'll be the first step, and then we'll start to bring in retail money with the actual investment payoffs that aren't coming off as scams.
Yeah, nicely said that. Sorry that we had to let you look through your crystal ball. So I fully agree with the breaches being exploited. I mean, just to share a little that Web3, the differences is that smart contracts are open source out there. So we are actually pitting developers and hackers at the top levels right out there. That's the major difference with Web2. So before I get to Mr. Tan, I saw that Martin's just joined us. So Martin's, hi. So you finally made it. So maybe we can start off by letting you explain your project further about DSpace. Martin, are you there? Hi, Martin. Can you speak? Hang on, maybe we can give him 1 minute. All right, it's okay. Maybe there are some technical difficulties. It's okay. So we will continue on with what we will talking about. So the future of DeFi. So let's talk to Mr. Tan. What are your views on the future of DeFi?
Well, like Ben said, I wish I had a big crystal ball that I knew everything. But one thing for sure, and that we've seen is perhaps some of the limitations where it's just a one chain, and I think multi-chain or cross-chain interoperability is going to be key going forward. Jumping from one chain to another with ease, and not having to go through this tedious task that we've been going through. Obviously, over the last 2 years, in the DeFi space, a lot has changed. We've had a lot of tools and solutions come out, and I think in this next phase of the bear market, a similar evolution will happen, where we'll see a lot more smart ideas, real-world solutions come to fruition. I think in the longer term, DeFi as a whole is essentially how is the future of banking. How we all kind of grew up with understanding banking and finance in general is going to change. A prime example is how my kids view in-game tokens or money far more important than real world money, right? And that kind of goes to GameFi and all these other things. Now the metaverse, and there will be solutions in the coming years where this is all intertwined. DeFi, GameFi, metaverse, SocialFi, Move to Earn. All that is interconnected. It's borderless. Anyone, anywhere, will be able to earn a similar or same amount as somebody else. Coming from a Wall Street background, we had clients that had to be ECPs, meaning they had to have 10 million or more liquid assets for us to take them as a client. And the sad reality was, anybody with, whether they had $5 in their pocket or 5 million, they can walk into a casino, gamble all that money away with no questions asked. But a lot of times these financial products are limited to a certain group of people, a select group of people, just because of their financial stature. And I think DeFi goes beyond that, which I think is the most important factor. And I think it's key to global adoption. And I think, and we were talking about this earlier, about crypto being 24/7. And, the workplace is essentially borderless. And I think this COVID pandemic allowed, or actually made everybody realize that you don't need to drive into an office every day. You don't need to, do a certain thing. You can be just as productive in 1 hour than somebody in 8 hours, sitting in office or whatever it may be. And whether that's kind of allowing everybody that works in some sort of DeFi, and DeFi can be a broad term too, right? And it can include many of the things that we've discussed. But I do think that the future of banking is there, and hence why a lot of financial institutions are now looking closer at these types of solutions. And in a way, I know for a fact that a lot of these old school banks that have been the mainstays are a bit scared of these transformations in how we know money. And I think that's the biggest, that might be one of the biggest challenges. And the reality is those guys will enter the space. Coming from a similar background as those guys, a lot of those guys, myself included, I never thought crypto would be where it is today, but it is. And it's not just crypto, it's web3, blockchain, whatever you want to call it as. And it's changing, evolving, and the technology is here to stay, and it's only going to improve over time. And I can't wait to see where we're at in 5 years, and we'll definitely be a part of it.
Nicely said. Very in-depth analysis. Thank you. So right now, I think Mr. Martins had solved his technical issue. So Martins, can you hear me?
Yeah, hello, I can hear you.
All right,
Hi,
nice.
guys.
Hi, Martin. Nice to have you here. So let me cue it back a little bit. So maybe Martin, you can explain about your project DSpace and let us know more about your project.
All right, thanks, guys. So basically, this space protocol is just a one-stop hub for everything crypto. That's what we are envisaging for our project, and by this we mean that we're taking the best of both worlds. That's the world of DeFi, decentralized finance, and the world of NFTs. So what we really want here on this space protocol is the fact that we are trying to get some users globally to navigate the world of DeFi, get everything they need to do, and bring all their NFT solutions to them from one interface. Okay, what we've seen over time is the fact that users, once they want any solution, they always have the option of moving from one protocol to the other. So with this space protocol here, what we're trying to do is to aggregate all these solutions and give users the opportunity to stay on the same protocol and carry out all their needs. So you might want to ask, how is this really possible? Yes, it's very much possible because over time we've seen that different solutions comes in at every point in time to solve one or two issues that have been created as far as solutions are coming up. What do I mean by this? For example, we observe that when you want to carry out transactions on certain networks, you see the issue of um, lack of scalability. You see the issue of price and slowness of network. So with the space protocol, we are trying to bring in all the chains. For example, you obviously know that some chains support for speed. Some people might prefer using the Solana network. So for us, we envisage integrating Solana network into our system. And for other persons, they feel okay, we need other chains to carry out transactions because of their low transaction fees. So we equally give users the opportunity to carry out all this from a particular interface. So for us here, the Space Protocol is all about aggregation and bringing out all users needs in one protocol. Thank you.
Nice. Thank you, Martin, for sharing. So I think so far all three of our guests are speaking I mean, are relating to the very thing that I think is like what we are building in the Web3 space now, which is to be interconnected, interoperability, and or after all these are done at the back end, right, the front end, the UI UX has to be seamless for the front end user to get into all the advantages of being interconnected. So I guess that is why we have this AMA here with Cube Network. So Cube Network encourages interconnectivity actually as a layer one. That is why we are built to be EVM compatible, and we are also compatible with the Cosmos ecosystem, the layer 0. So thank you for sharing. So earlier Mr. Tan and Ben shared about their views on the future of DeFi. So Martins, maybe you can share, like your product is also a DeFi product. So you can share your views of what will be the future of DeFi, maybe like 5 years from now.
All right, thank you very much for that. The truth is this: over the years, there have been lots of evolutions, and of course, these evolutions and development they comes with their various problems. But for me, I see that the future of DeFi is one that we can really say will be a beautiful one. Obviously, there will be lots of challenges that will be emerging. Okay, there will be lots of challenges that will be emerging, and of course, as community of builders and community of those that want to have a better future for this opportunity that the DeFi have brought forward to us, we'll be able to put out solutions that will fight those issues. Because just as I made mention of earlier, when this whole journey started years ago, all we have was just the Bitcoin network. And of course, we had the issues that were associated with it. Then came Ethereum. And of course, Ethereum tried its own best to solve some of these issues. But yet again, there were other issues that came up from the solutions that Ethereum was providing. So we keep seeing lots of other chains coming up to solve these solutions. Then apart from that, we see issues of developers putting in loopholes at the completion of their codes and all that, just to get projects to fall for scams and all of that. But these are issues that we are all trying to build. And of course, um, solutions are coming up daily to meet up with these challenges that we are facing. So I see the future of DeFi as a beautiful one, where we'll build more trustless system, where we'll have more people massively adopting the DeFi and what we are doing. Um, just some days ago, I saw one of the major airports in Nigeria having the be branded with one of the major exchanges. And of course, when I saw this, I was really amazed, because for just about a year or so ago, there have been this craze about the fact that okay, um, crypto and blockchain generally the activities are being banned here and there. But then seeing that happening in a particular international airport, it shows that truly that DeFi is the future. And of course, I'm glad to be part of this, and I also believe that all our listeners and people are proud to be seeing all these happenings here and there. So we are looking forward to more of the benefits that DeFi will bring to us in the future, so that we can all leverage on it. Thank you.
Nice. Thank you for sharing. I think we all agree that the future of DeFi is definitely a good one, but we will definitely have to contribute and build towards it. Only then that the future will be nice. Thank you for sharing.
Sure.
All right, so we will proceed now to questions from the users that we collected, the users of Cube Network. They have questions for each project. So we'll start off with Ben Witsnet. So one of the question is, how will the oracles help Cube Network?
Yeah. So I think for starters, the simple answer is that as we're kind of walking towards the mainnet launch, which we're currently on testnet, I think we have 7 price feeds, and we have a few users that we're expecting to be using those price feeds once we securely launch them on Cube mainnet. But I think the way Witnet is going to be able to help the Cube network is that it's permissionless nature, so anybody can really go to the Witnet network and set up a data feed to actually query the network. But I think the best part is that you don't actually have to hold any of the Witcoin in order to query the network. You hold the coin of the native chain, or the native coin of the chain you're building on. So it really allows a developer experience that you don't get with a lot of other oracles. But in general, oracles are going to help Cube because people are going to want to build not only simple DeFi apps, but also like insurance projects and weather apps and that kind of stuff, sports betting, all this kind of like not only DeFi, but more along the lines of fun. And I think they're going to need secure oracles for all these types of things for both entertainment and to add value to people's lives as far as like saving money and that kind of and transacting value. So oracles will help in that realm, and it's a pretty important initiative that's going to be happening on the Cube chain.
Yeah, definitely. I think in the technology space, not just Web3, oracles are very important in the whole internet space. So I think you guys will definitely bring very big value into Cube Network. Thank you very much. So the next question is for Ten Finance, Mr. Ten. So the question is, what is the best DeFi tool to grow my cryptocurrency assets?
Well, this is going to be shameless shilling, but I guess I'm going to say 10 Finance platform and the upcoming Lend protocol. Obviously within the DeFi space, there's yield optimizers, yield aggregators, and lending protocols, which not too many people utilize. Just to give you an idea, the total amount of money in DeFi is about 90 billion right now. It was anywhere between 80 to 90 billion, right? And the total market cap of the crypto space is about 1.2 trillion, 1.1, whatever. So it goes to show that only 7% of the money is actually in DeFi, right? And out of that 7%, I can assure you that about 90% is very large wallets that control that. So it gives you a very small amount of user base that actually knows about DeFi and how to utilize these protocols to their benefit. Yield optimizers are great because a lot of times what happens is, you can provide liquidity to a decentralized exchange. You get a percentage of the trading volume given back to you. But what a lot of people don't realize is you can deposit to a protocol like 10 Finance and auto compound your LP to earn additional APY on your LPs that you're holding, which otherwise you wouldn't if it was just simply deposited as an LP at the DEX. Lending protocols can offer the same thing. I think we discussed this earlier where, if a lot of people have assets that are just sitting there, many people that hold BTC and Ethereum and stables that don't want to provide LP in case of impermanent loss, they can simply supply their assets to a lending protocol and make a return on those funds just sitting in their wallet. And with what the Lend protocol is doing in revenue, sharing with token holders, is it provides additional real yield given to the users other than native tokens. Which is obviously what DeFi is all about, right? The native tokens. But what the Lend protocol will be doing is essentially allowing users to not only earn what they're supplying, whether it's BTC, Ethereum, Cube, or whatever other tokens that we have available on the protocol, is they'll be able to earn additional stable coins on top of the boosted APYs that you get with Lend as well. Relock your Lend, get additional revenue from that. But overall, there's many other protocols similar to, well, not to Lend because nobody's doing what we're going to be doing, but to, let's say, a 10 Finance or other lending protocols that you can generate additional APYs on your funds. So I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Ten.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very nice explanation. So the last question is for DSpace, Martins. The question is, do you think NFTs should be multi-chain or exclusive to one network?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. So the issue of NFTs having to run on one network or multi-chain is one that is really very key. Okay, so for now, just as we know, minting of NFTs, particularly coming from that angle, minting of NFTs come with a particular price tag and all that. So looking at the fact that we are operating in a global space, it won't be right to just capitalize on just one network when you talk about NFTs, because different regions have their own different economic issues, political issues that really surround these happenings. So, for example, when you look at the third world nations, bringing up the issue of adoption and all of it, when you recommend some networks or some chains for them as regards NFT and all that, it will really be very difficult for them to get on board. Okay, so that's why projects, when you really launching and all that, you look at the target um, audience that you're looking at. So for projects that have been launched and focused on areas that have less economic indices, they can always go for networks that have lower charges so that other persons can really get on board of this. And also, you know that when it comes to um, um, acceptance also, there are a lot of issues that really, the issues of regulations which are gradually taking the center stage of this space cannot be overemphasized. You have to be very practical about this and be very selective of the chain you accept, because obviously the central authorities, irrespective of how much we try to say we are in a decentralized space, they are always pushing in, because we have the user side that keep clamoring for a form of protection and all that. So invariably, you need to make some kind of readjustment to whatever you have. So, for example, there are some um, central authorities already now that are very stern when it comes to their regulations as to, okay, this is how we want our people to operate and all that. So, in course of that, whatever chain you are operating on, you want to make sure that you kind of fall in line with these central authorities, irrespective of the fact that we are pushing for decentralization, and so that's it. So multi-chains is what goes for NFTs, and I think that's
Yeah.
what project builders and developers should always look out for, so that everyone can really get on board and be part of the beauty of Web3 in general. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. Yeah, I do agree that we are at a stage whereby Web3 is evolving in a way that we should be interconnected. So yeah, multi-chain, I do agree with that. Yeah. All right. So now I will have to remind that Mr. Tan has generously given us $200 worth of tokens to airdrop. So what we will need to do is we will need to you guys will need to follow Cube's Twitter, Space Twitter, Witnet, and of course 10 Finance Twitter. You can get all the handles on the Twitter post from Cube Network's Twitter post that I think has been sent out already by our marketing team. So follow all of us and get a screenshot, retweet and tag your friends, get a screenshot and comment your wallet address so that we can airdrop it to you. So that's very important. Okay, we need your wallet address. So just gentle reminder to do this. And I think today's talk is very good, because I think all projects come from like diversified backgrounds and we are getting insights from everywhere, all different angles of the Web3 space, DeFi space, NFT space. And really thank Ben, Mr. Tan, and Martins for attending from different time zones. So really appreciate you guys coming on. So I will end this AMA here. So thank you everybody for the participation.
Thank you for having us,
putting this
Walter.
together. It's
Yeah,
been a lot of
thanks,
fun.
Walter.
Nice meeting you guys too.
Yeah,
Likewise.
nice meeting you guys. Keep in
Have a
touch.
good
Keep in
day,
touch.
bye. And Walter.
Yes. If not, see you guys. Bye
All
bye.
right. Cheers.
Cheers.
Guys, it's been a
Have a good day.
pleasure.